Doing good. I got my Rural King cut. Love my Rural King. I don't know if you have a Rural King in your town, but they're new to our town. It was one of the only, we had a Walmart closed down in 2008 and they put in a Rural King. Never heard of them, but I love it. They're like a Tractor Supply. They got everything there. And anyway, it's 11:30, so enough of the small talk. Let's get started. I'm excited. I got some stuff on the board I want to share with you. Let me first begin by congratulating all the brand new agents who've just started your own business. Congratulations to you. You've started your own agency. You know, if you look at a real estate broker, there's real estate brokers who make a quarter million, half a million a year because they have a big agent team and they sell homes. Um, and that's fabulous, right? It's a great, credible business. Well, you guys are in the same shoes. You've got your own agency and you can make it where you can build a big agency or you don't have to. It can be just you yourself, or you could have a lot of agents in your team, right? It's entirely up to you how big you want to take this. So the best thing is there's 9 million businesses today, 9 million in America today that fit our bigger funding, which is $300,000 to 10 million a year in sales. 300,000 to 10 million. There's 9 million businesses there that are underserved by the banks, and there's not many business funding people helping them. And that's where you come in. So if your son or daughter were telling you they're going to become a real estate broker, you'd say, hey, that's a great career if you get after it. And they'd be getting involved in a business where there's 4.6 million homes sold a year and there's already 3 million agents. So the disadvantage is already against them. Of course, they can still make it because a small percentage of people give it everything they got. You can compete and you can win in any business. But what you've got your hands on here in your agency, you've got 9 billion businesses in America that need our funding. You can bring it to them, and you've got a funding platform that does all the work. So there's no max on how many packages you can send. There's only so many open houses you can sit in, right? But how many funding packages can you refer to the Bank Breezy team this week? If you built a system that referred 20 funding packages this week, 20 are going to get taken care of. If you got 50, 50 are getting taken care of, right? And if you only got one a year is going to get taken care of. So we got your back. There's no bandwidth issues. You can scale as large as you want. So congratulations on your decision to join the business. Hopefully you see it with the bigness that it is. I will say this, the odds are against you, not because of you, but because percentages are percentages. Planet Fitness isn't going to tell you that when you join Planet Fitness, but the odds are against everyone who joins Planet Fitness that they're going to get in shape because 95% never do. But does that mean the gym doesn't work? Of course not. That means 95% of the people don't work. So the odds are against you, except you know you. We're betting on you. We're betting on you. We're betting you're one of the 5% who's actually an entrepreneur, who's willing to keep pressing forward even when the results don't show themselves just yet, because it makes sense to you that there's 9 million businesses. That's twice as many homes that sold last year. There's 2 times more businesses in our business funding range than there are homes going to sell this year. And the number of agents that we have, it's not even close. Not even close. We don't even have 100,000 agents in our space. And yet there's 9 million businesses who need our support. So you couldn't ask, as far as I'm concerned, you couldn't ask for a better product. I've owned consumer product companies, I've owned consumer service companies, and I've never seen something so good. Even our auto ship products or auto ship services like utilities and things that everybody uses already, there's competition in all those things. We have competition here, but we've got them all beat. And you don't have competitions among agents, very small as a percentage, very small B2B agent base right now, very, very small. So, locally, there's not a lot of people doing what you're doing in your town. So how are you spreading the news? And if you're brand new, hopefully you've already watched the enroller training, the onboard training that is, and enrollment training, get started. And also you've watched the business funding training. If not, please, after the Zoom, get on it. Get on it and watch those trainings. All right. So there's some things I wanted to cover with y'all. I got my whiteboard behind me here. I'm going to start with some updates. All right, so let me go with some updates first. Don't forget, this is our process. You go for the welcome email, you go to the onboard, get started training, you go to the funding training. After the funding training, you start approaching warm market, referring warm market reach outs. We give you some training on how to do that, what to say to them to reach out. And again, your job is just to inform them of our funding platform, and then we get them capital. Go through a game plan with your enroller and your team leader. If your team leader is your enroller, hey, great. If not, your enroller has got a team leader that can help do the game plan with you. Attend the daily Zooms like you're doing today, or at least watch them in the recording, and make sure you also understand the comp plan. That way you can get as much juice out of the squeeze as possible. Okay. But what I want to talk about today, I'm going to go through some updates here. And I know the lighting's not perfect. I'm going to work through how to get better lighting on this whiteboard, or go to a piece of paper with markers. We'll see. But this is what I wanted to give you. I want to give you some update on the flow of traffic. The flow of traffic. Some goes to Giggle, of course, and some goes to the Bank Breezy bigger funding. Anything under 15,000, of course, goes to Giggle. That's our instant funder. We just had someone get a $10,000 instant funding the other day, which is they do up to 20, but on first funding up to 10. But that means they're doing 30,000 a month in sales, because they only approve up to 30% Giggle. And the reason I say that is because for some businesses, they use a personal bank account, and that's all they have. But here's the good news. The renewal rate is very high. They've got a high renewal rate. Over 30% of the clients renew with them. So if you get one funding, you can expect more can come from that. And they always give higher approvals on the second funding. So they reward you. So there's good things there now. We had a call with their founder, trying to get faster payment from them, because it helps you for qualifications. In our pay plan, you want to be qualified for your, by the end of the month. We got a check going out on the 15th, and based on where you were qualified as of the first of the month, right? How many levels are you getting paid on, et cetera? And so you want to try to get your funding revenue in before the first. And then, of course, we've got amped up and engaged as well. So we're talking to them about trying to get a faster commission cycle. And they're working on that. But just so you know, if there's 9 million businesses in our funding platform, there's 21 million below that Giggle supports. So we say don't go focus there. But of course, if you have clients there, it's nice to be able to get them some funding, right? So just wanted to give you the update. But I want to talk about the apps on Bank Breezy. Now I'm talking about the ones that go to the Bank Breezy bigger funding. All right, you want to write this down, because it can help you in your prospecting. The number one decline reason for the larger packages once submitted to the lender is prior defaults. Prior defaults, not credit. There's something called a data merge list. You get on it if you defaulted on a revenue-based or a cash advance or alternative capital loan. If you default on that, you go on the data merge list. Or if you have credit card processing fraud, where you get the money and then they have clawbacks and you can't give them the money back, that's defaulting as well. That's what goes on the data merge. You'll never get payment processing again, and you'll never get a working capital advance again. It's just an automatic decline. There's nothing we can do if you've got a prior default. So over half of our declines last month, over half, were from prior defaults. What that means is we got a lot of people getting customers off leads and buying data from places, trying data from places, because most of those people aren't going to apply again with someone they know, because they know that they've defaulted and they know they're probably going to get a decline, and they want to save the embarrassment probably. But a lot of the cold market people you don't know are going through this. So I'm not saying don't buy leads. I said in the other day, I wouldn't buy leads. I wouldn't buy leads. A lead is just a potential customer, right? What makes it a quality lead? Well, how much potential do they have for needing capital right now? That makes it a quality lead. And you can know that by talking to them. So I don't advise you buy leads from lead sources in the business funding space, because if they're selling it to you, they're selling it to 50 other vendors. The second reason for default or decline was multiple application. That application came in through other brokers, not just us. So if someone's applying with you and someone's applying with someone else, and both people send it, I mean, there's 20 top providers, and there's a lot of people represent those 20 providers. We're the only ones doing it the way we are with one step best offer from all of them. But if an application comes in from more than one sources, usually they're just automatically declined because it looks like they're trying to stack. So if you, as an example, send the application to us and then you send it to someone else, you're actually increasing the likelihood it's a decline. Okay. So that's the second biggest reason for decline. So had nothing to do with revenue, FICO score. It was prior default or the application came in from multiple providers, multiple brokers. Okay. So I caution you to that. Those are the two things. Want to talk about renewals. The renewal, this is encouraging. For every dollar of bonus revenue you do, you're really producing about $1.60. We tracked it over a 15-month period. Over a 15-month period, for every 1,000 in bonus revenue a client produced, they really produced 1,600 in bonus revenue over 15 months. Now, it's going to be longer if you go longer than 15 months, but we tracked for 15 months. So if you were to make $10,000 this month on personal clients, you're going to make another 6,000 over the next 15 months off those same clients without even getting new clients, just off those. So it's 1.6 to 1. So if you do 10,000 bonus revenue today, you can count on another 6,000 from that 10,000 over the next 15 months. All right. Now, if you're really good with your clients, it'll be higher than that. The bigger the client is, the more likely of a renewal. The ones that are smaller don't necessarily get renewals as much, right? But if they take the money to grow, they're usually going to grow to a point where they need more money to keep growing, and they look at us as their funding source for growth. All right. So 1.6 to 1. That's pretty darn good. We looked at all new customers, and we haven't got 100% of the data, but we looked at the new customers for last month, not renewals, new customers. 60% of them were warm market. Actually, it was 67% were warm market customers, meaning they knew their broker prior to applying. Okay. 67%. After that, email marketing, individual email, was the next highest source of customers beyond warm market. Cold market, the number one channel for cold market so far in our study was individual email. Okay. Now, of course, phone calling works. Of course, emailing works, texting works, all of it works, right? So we're using smaller data sizes. As we grow this, we're going to keep stats and we're going to show you the most effective methods because in the end, we want to make sure we're training the most effective methods. And so far, texting and emailing is doing very well. And we've always said nothing beats live face to face. And that was the case the last time we measured. And right now, those are up there. For warm market, absolutely. But for cold market, broadcast marketing, individual email and individual text is doing well. So if you're not sending individual emails to business owners in the cold market, you may want to try. We teach how to do that, so do it. Because of the number of declines for defaults. And I will tell you, last month, we had over about 175 just in the last month decline for prior defaults. Well, that's a lot of time we spend on those packages. We're going to add a couple things to our applet, our automated applet. We're always improving that, right? The other thing is we had a large number of approvals not take the offer because they were expecting higher approvals. Their expectation was like we got someone right now who's approved for 250,000, but they were looking for 4 million because their agent or they didn't know their agent. And so they didn't read the website on 1 month to 2 months revenue. So now we're talking, we've done all that work, and now we're talking to them, and they're hoping for 4 million. We got them a quarter million, a great offer. But will they want a quarter million? They're looking for four. So there's a lot of time invested in that when the expectation is here, and we can only get them approved for here. So we're making a few additions to our onboarding applet. One of the things is we're going to ask them if they've ever had an advance prior or a revenue-based capital, or alternative capital loan. If the answer is yes, we're going to ask them their current balance. And we're also going to ask them if they've defaulted in the past. If they've defaulted in the past, it'll be an immediate decline. You won't even be notified that they went through the applet. You won't have hope. You'll have something that says they started, but they were declined on application because of a prior default, or for some reason, you'll know it's because of default, right? We may not say that in the email, but it's because we don't want to work those packages and get our lenders working those packages, spending money on background checks, doing all that stuff only to have it be a default. So we need to ask that. So we're going to ask that on the front end. They're not always going to be honest, but if someone says, yes, I've defaulted, there's no reason we should invest time with that or get our lenders. And if you could think about that, 170 packages, I think it was 176, I don't know the number, were prior defaults. That's a lot of lenders looking at a lot of packages, doing a lot of background checks, only to find they were defaulted. So it just makes sense for our efficiencies and for your hope. That's 170 agents who had hope too, right? Just in the last month, 170. Oh, I might get a loan here. Well, they had a prior default and they should have never applied, right? Because that's one of the it's automatic decline. It's like they're not doing the sales, right? So we're adding that advanced prior current balance. Now, why are we asking the current balance? Because we're also going to display an expected approval range. So on the applet, we're going to give congratulations. Based on your answers, we think we could get you a funding of boom to boom. Okay, and give a range. Would you like to continue? Or pass now. If they pass now, they're gonna be triggered into an email where we send them a little video and encourage they maybe consider a lower amount and how we might be able to get them more money in more certain period of time. So we're gonna still target to them and see if we can't get them to come through, but we don't want to have in the last period that we checked. 1 out of 3 fundings was declined by the client because the offer was lower than their expectation. And the offer was right where we expect it to be. But the discussion with the agent didn't take place, or the agent wasn't clear with them that they're going to get 75% up to 2 times their revenue. And it's usually right around 1 times their monthly revenue. So someone wants 4 million and they're only doing 250,000 in sales. They need to be told, yeah, you're not going to get 4 million. We might be able to get you a quarter million, and then you can get you more 6 months later, and keep getting you a quarter million every 6 months. But to get you 4 million now that's not possible. You have to go to your bank for that and put up collateral. It does not exist in our space. That needs to be set up front. So we're just adding that to the expected approval amount. Is going to be on their applet. So that'll help. Again, we don't want to set false expectations with you or the client or with our lender partners. We don't want them to go through all that work only to have the client not take it. And if 1 out of 3 of our approvals didn't take it over the last 5-week period because the offer was lower than they thought, yet the offer was right in the range of what it should be, then their expectation was really high. So in your discussions, hopefully you take away from this, if you're ever talking to a client and you're discussing with them how much they might get approved for, if they say, yeah, I'm looking for 300,000. I love when people go, hey, I got someone looking for 200,000. Great. I know a lot of people who want money. How much are they doing in sales? Well, they want 200 grand. I think I can get them a $200,000 loan. Are they eligible for 200 grand is the real question, right? So it's common sense, I know. But just so you know, going in, this is an issue we're seeing it more and more. We're seeing it more and more, the expectations. So we're adding that to the applet. We're going to give them a little congratulatory based on your answers. We did this in the early days. If any of you have been with us a while, we used to have this on our applet. The applet wasn't near as good as it is now. It was all manual. You couldn't upload statements or anything, but we would, based on their sales amount, tell them what they could expect to be approved on because this issue existed in the past. So we've got to make sure we circumvent that and help lead from the front. Okay. And then, so what I want to talk about, a little pro tip for the day, based on the warm market and based on local leaders, I wanted to show you this here. I've got this model up here. This is the same thing as here. It's just larger. So if you can't read this, don't worry about it. I'm about to go through it. What this is your business using the analogy of an arrow flying. The front of the arrow is all your brand new agents, assuming or brand new prospects if you're getting clients. But this is using the analogy of as you build your agent team. It could be all your prospects that you're reaching out to about funding. But we're going to talk about this from an agent perspective. The front of your arrow is all your brand new prospects, your warm market, or your brand new agents. Okay? What brand new agents have and what you have when you're brand new is it's red. Why is it red? Anything else on the board that's red? The only other thing on the board that's red says warm market. Warm market, you are 10 times more likely to get a customer than cold market in the early days. Eventually, you know how to get customers real well, and you can be just as effective in the cold market. But when you first start, all you have to do is greet and inform a warm market. So they're ready to hear about your product. You don't have to worry about your relationship. You don't have to worry about being a stranger, a telemarketer, or a door-to-door salesperson. You don't have to worry about overcoming any of that. All you have to do is articulate that we can get them funding. We can get them the best offer funding in the revenue-based capital space because we represent all the top providers. It's simple. It's fast. So I can get you capital. I can get you the best offer on capital, and that's guaranteed. That's all you have to be able to articulate. So if and when you ever need capital, come see me. Warm market, that's really easy to do. And that's why 67% of our customers that we tracked came from warm market. Okay. So what we say is factual. We're using numbers, right? So warm market, you have it and they have it. So make sure you go through your thing and say, who in my warm market do I need to inform about this working capital platform, right? But also the front of your arrow is your new agents. So these are all your new agents. That's why there's an arrow. This is when you're new and when they're new. You've got a big warm market. Warm market, you're 10 times more likely to help them with funding because they like you or know you already, right? 10 times more likely. So if you're going to put 2 hours of work in, do you want to put 2 hours of work in somewhere that pays you 10 times more or 10 times less? I think everyone would say 10 times more, right? So you wanted to focus on your warm market. We've given you texts to say, emails to say the training's got it. All you're doing is informing them for if and when, right? But then you've got your older agents who've been around a little while. This says local leader. If you're brand new, you're right here. You don't have local leaders yet. But as you recruit people, you're going to have local leaders. The average local leader is going to do about 10 fundings a week. 10 fundings a week as a local leader. They've got a group of agents, not themselves, in their team. 10 fundings a week. Okay. And now when you have another local leader, those are like the feathers on your arrow. You know, why do you have flights on a dart or on an arrow? They help stabilize the flight. They help stabilize the flight. And you need 3, right? Or 4 or 5. The business the same way. If you have one local leader, that's pretty good. But what if that local leader quits or decides it's not for them or goes through a divorce or financial issue and they're out of it, right? Obviously, we don't pray that on anyone. We pray for nothing but success and peace and for everybody. But you want stability. A three-legged stool is better than a two-legged. My laptop right now is on a four-legged stool. I don't want to worry about it bumping or knocking it. So local leader is 10 deals a week. Now you're going to average about $100 per deal on your local leaders overrides. About 200 if you personally enrolled them, but okay, 200 per deal. All right, so that's one local leader because they've been around. They know how to have the conversations. They know what they're saying. They're going to get clients themselves. And what happens is you're going to want to add more local leaders, right? The more you add, the more stable your flight is and your business is. So that's why building a team and looking for local leaders is great. Now, these people are all effective at getting fundings, effective, and they don't turn in clients at default. They don't turn in clients that have defaulted. They don't turn in clients that are under revenue. They do pre-sorting. They're professional. They're not afraid to talk to business owners. They're professionals. And then you've got everyone in the middle here, your existing team that's inactive. Now, when I say inactive, they may be trying, but they're inactive at effectively getting customers. These people you support with the group systems. Okay? Group systems support them because you can't invest a lot of time with people who are inactive. Now, if they're trying to get customers and they're reaching out to people, then they're like here. They're like a new person who's giving it everything they got. They're still learning. Then you keep working with them. Okay, you keep investing time with them. But your existing inactive, you just encourage they go to the group trainings. Your older team that's stable, these people, you invest personal time in them. So yes, personal. Yes, personal to your new agents, the front. These are your new agents. They're 10 times more likely to get a customer than these people because they're willing to talk to their warm market. So you invest time there. Your older agents who are effectively already getting customers, they've already gotten some, they know how to do it. Of course, you invest time in them. But if they've been here 4 years and they're not getting clients, they're here. If they've been here 7 years and they're not getting clients, they're here. They're either inactive or unwilling. Right? Doesn't matter. I won't say they're incapable because everyone's capable. So where you want to invest your time is with your older agents and your newer. Now, if you look at this and go, wow, I don't have older and I don't have newer. I just have a bunch of this. I got a stick. I don't have a front of an arrow. I don't have a back. No problem. No problem. Gauge where you're at and say, I need to add a tip to I got to sharpen my pencil. I got to sharpen this tip. How? New agents. The fastest way to create momentum is give new birth. You can try to raise the dead. We're sending them emails already. You can send them emails. You can encourage, but you can't invest a lot of time there. Sharpen your pencil. Introduce new people with the mindset that I'm going to duplicate them into a local leader. I'm going to help them become a local leader. And they're going to be doing 10 deals a week. They're going to be making $1,000 a week, and you're going to be making or more, and you're going to be making $1,000 a week in overrides. But in the short term, you got to sharpen your pencil. You got to add more people on the front end, and as many as you can. And if you introduce a brand new person and they're not willing to talk to their warm market, just know the odds of them succeeding go way down. Now, they may be a B2B professional who's already done business to business sales. And they're like, no, they are their warm market because they've already got thousands of business owners, companies they've talked to. If you know someone already in B2B, if you're running ads, I would put B2B experience in your ad. Why not have those people pop up? Because they've already got a warm market of business owners, right? Not just their friends and family who own a business, but all their prior clients who own a business, right? So B2B agents, or at least willingness to talk to business. I know this is common sense to anyone who's been in business, but this is training for everybody. This is an agent update for even our brand new people who've never owned a business before. We got your back. We got your back. So as an entrepreneur, You bring value to the marketplace. To the extent you bring value, you earn income. The way you bring value to a marketplace isn't by being in DAC, it's by getting the information of DAC to business owners, right? So you've got a great thing called a business funding platform with best offer, but it doesn't show value to the market unless the market knows about it. So to the extent that you can help the market know about it, that's the only reason people pay for advertising. You're really paying money to use someone else's audience to hear about your platform. That's what advertising is. But if you don't want to spend money advertising, you do what Carl does and you go to a networking event. You do what McGuire does and you do a BNI event. You do what Nick does and you pick up the phone and call outbound. You do what Matt does and you pick up the phone and call outbound, right? You do what I do and you text people that you drive by their trucks, right? You network. You continually are looking at ways to inform your warm market. You text people. So you phone people, right? You don't violate TCPA rules, but you take the message to the marketplace. That's how you bring value. And you understand the product. So you watch the training, you read you get the news. And now you take that value to the marketplace. So the design, to the extent that you can help them see that you can help them get their desired outcome, which is money, but it's not money. It's an expanded restaurant. It's a new pizza oven. It's three other lifts in my mechanic's garage. It's two more locations. It's hiring a brand new sales team. It's running a marketing campaign that costs 50 grand, but you think it'll turn in 400 grand, but you need the 50. You're helping them get that desired outcome. So to the extent that you can help them see that value and that you can be a source for that, and it's fast, then guess what happens? They proceed. If you're not bringing that value forward, just keep it that simple. Keep it that simple. I got to bring value to my local marketplace. I could pay for advertising dollars and pay to be in someone else, have eyeballs from other people's audiences, or I could just take my message to the audience, my local market. I don't need to pay for advertising. I can be the communicator myself through text, email, warm market, networking meetings, etc. Right? That's the angle that you can go with. Bring value to the marketplace, you win. Recruit new agents, they're 10 times more likely to improve. And if you're not getting the numbers you want, be the front of the arrow yourself. Warm market, right here, warm market, and then recruit more new warm market. Front of the arrows, creating new opportunity. It's cutting through. Back of the arrows, creating stability. This here may, one day, you see texts in our Facebook group all the time. Hey, I've been gone for 3 years. I've decided to re-engage. Times have changed in my life. How do I get my link? They're this group and they're getting an email and they're not even sure where to go to get support, but they're raising their head up again and saying, I want to do this after all. I got a text last night from someone and they reached out to me from a manual commission email I sent them in 2020. 2020. That's how they had my email from an old manual. Congratulations, you got your first client, is what the subject line said. I'm like, man, I haven't sent that email in years. In fact, I think it was 2017, not 2020. And he got a commission. He's like, hey, I got a client who needs funding. Are you guys still in business? Yeah, we're still in business. And yeah, we can help, but you've probably not renewed. So you're going to have to get yourself active again. And now he's really got to be a new agent again. But the point is, some of these people do raise up. If you keep encouraging them, you just can't invest a lot of personal time. You invest your time here and here. If you don't have this yet, what do you got to be doing? A lot of this until you have this. And then you've got a stable business. And 15, 20 years, 30 years from now, you'll still be earning on this stability. It may not exist yet. That's okay. It's okay. It will one day. And I'm going to end with a little fable that I said to the corporate team today, and then I'll take your questions. Imagine you've got a pair of dice. There's 6 sides on it, and you roll it. It's going to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, right? Well, what if I've done the deck of cards. There's 4 aces, and if you get paid $3 grand every time you hit an ace, and I give you a deck of cards, you just keep flipping the deck. Right. And you're going to get 4 aces and you're going to get those $3 grand per ace. You're going to make 12 grand in this deck. How quickly do you just flip the cards? Right. Well, if I told you you're going to make 3 grand for every 50 business owner conversations who hear about the platform, you're going to make 3 grand. Now, maybe you'll make more, but you'll make three if you have 50 business owner conversations. How many of them are you having today? How many tomorrow? How many the next day? Because it's going to take 50 business owner conversations to get a funding, right? So if it's warm market, maybe it's only 15 to get that funding, but cold market, maybe it's 150. So are you willing to flip the card to have 150 business owner conversations to make that 3 grand, which will eventually be another 1,800 because of renewals? So on average, you'd say, heck yeah, I would. It's worth it because I know it's guaranteed. Well, there's no guarantee, but I can guarantee you if you keep doing that over time, you'll be that good and you'll have those kind of numbers. But the fable is now imagine you have a dice that's not 6 sides, or is a deck of cards instead of it being 50 cards with 4 aces. What if it's 5,000 cards? But there is 400 aces, but there's 5,000 cards. In fact, what if there's 50,000 cards, but there's 4,000 aces? And now every time you flip a card, it's still one out of 15 cards is an ace. But what if you have to go through 7,000 just because the odds are against you? I mean, you just keep now there's 4,000 aces in that 50,000 card deck, but you may have talked to 20,000 and you just haven't hit one yet. But you know that there's 4,000 in there. You know, every time you put one over here, your odds are better over there. And you put one over here, your odds are better over there. And you just keep going and keep going. If you look at your business that way, you're not going to forever have to be talking to new clients. Eventually, you're going to have enough clients that your renewals are going to be. You'll still talk to them because you're helping people and you'll get referrals. But your business will become referral based. You know, if you're real good with clients, they're going to refer you to people. If you're not, they won't. But if you're real good with clients, they're actually going to refer you out to people. So take it upon yourself to care and be considerate and be the type person that someone says, hey, you need to call my friend Steve. You need to call my friend Sharon. You need to call my friend Jessica, right? You got to call Ellen, because they help me. Those are the type things that you can strive to be better at, right? But don't think that just because you flip 2 cards, it's the hardest thing for entrepreneurs. Just because you flip 2 cards doesn't mean you're going to get a yes. And some people, based on the response of those 2 business owners, they decide whether they want to keep doing this. So I want to prepare you in advance if you're a new entrepreneur. Not every conversation's a yes. Our goal is to have 80% approval and 80% accept that approval. That's our goal. And in fact, I want the goal to be 90% accept the approval because we set the expectation right up front. And the only reason someone would get declined is because there's things in their background that we can't search for, or there's average daily balance based on their industry is too scary for the lenders. Things that we just can't sort out up front. But otherwise, we want the expectation where it needs to be. We want the offer to be where it needs to be, where they say yes and they proceed. But guess what that means? 20% are going to say no. So you get 10 approvals, you may get 2 who say, I don't want it. Now, if you screen them up front, they may never be the case. I had a client today, a friend called me today about a client, and he may be watching right now. I don't know who's on and who's not. But he said, I got a client, they're doing $100,000 a month, but they're using Square, which is a digital wallet. It's not a checkbook. Can you help them? And I said, well, we might be able to. It's unlikely because it's a digital wallet. It's not a checking account, really. It's a wallet. But let me find out. And I found out from Wade, we've got a few that might do it, but it's a higher risk because they're not protected the same way because it's not a checking account. They don't have the same ability to draft from that checking account as easily on a Square account as they do a checking account. So telling that up front that, hey, he can give it a try, but it is a higher risk product. You got to know that going in. So they set proper expectation. The offers are probably going to be lower, probably going to be lower approval offers than our standard. So because that's a risk item, a new risk item. So as long as people know that going in, either they don't apply, or at least when they get an offer for 30,000 instead of 100 or 90,000 instead of 190, they go, oh, yeah, I can see why, because I introduce an element of risk that isn't in the standard packages. It's not part of our standard underwriting. All right. So if you're new, take the deck of cards. There's one ace for every 50 cards. I'm sorry, there's four aces, but instead say there's one for every 100. Just to say I'm gonna every 99 no's is a yes, and next time it'll be only 98 no's, and the next time it'll only be 97 because I'm getting better, and then it'll be 96 because I'm getting better, and then 95. And the fable that I said to the group today is: imagine you got a dice or a dice, but instead of having six sides, it has 200 sides. It's like a golf ball, right? There's 200 sides to this dice, but every side is red except one is green. You only get paid if green comes up. And you roll it and it's red. What do you got to do? Roll it again. What do you got to do then? Roll it again. You only get paid if it's green. 1 out of 200 chance it's going to be green. You roll it again, but here's the rules of the game. If a green comes up, you get paid, and another one of the sides becomes green. Now there's two of the 200 are green. What do you do? Do you roll or do you go away? You roll and you roll and you roll and you roll. And all of a sudden, what happens? A green comes up and now you get paid. And then a third one becomes green. So now there's 3 out of 200 green. And you roll and roll and roll. What happens over time? Four are green. What happens over time? Five are green. Will you roll it 200 times sometimes without turning green, or 300 times? Yeah. Will you roll it four times and get a green twice in a row? Yeah. That's how our fundings are. You just never know, but you don't quit. You keep rolling, and eventually you've got five greens. So now there's six greens. And then you roll, another green. Now there's seven greens. And you roll again. Now there's eight greens. And roll again. Now there's nine greens. And you keep rolling. Now there's 10 greens. And before long, you have 100 out of 200 are green. And every time you roll it, hit green, another one becomes green. And then before long, there's 120 greens out of 200. And then you're getting green more often than not. Those are referrals coming your way. Those are renewals coming your way. Those are people who go, this is my funding dude. This is my funding girl. If anyone knows funding, it's her. And you got referrals coming. And all of a sudden, for every one green you get three more greens on the table. Before long, 199 out of 200 are green instead of red. And every time you roll it, you're getting a green, except once in a while it's a red. That's how our business is. That's entrepreneurism. That's any business. It doesn't matter whether it's real estate, whether it's selling meal replacement powders, whether it's selling business funding, whether it doesn't matter what it is. Not everyone says yes, but eventually you get really, really good, and people start to count on you for being who you are, and you've separated yourself from everyone else. If everyone could do this, you wouldn't be getting paid the percentages you are. They pay us a lot because not everyone's willing to do it. But if you get real, real good at it, you've monopolized your marketplace, and you're the front of the spear, you're the back of the spear, and you got a team of people. And before long, you have 30 or 40 local leaders. You got 300 or 400 deals coming in a week, and you got your front recruiting going up. And our goal is to have one application for every new agent in the first 30 days. We're not there yet. That's a goal. Should be your goal too. If you recruit a new agent, help them get their first application in the first 30 days. Just make that a standard goal. Make it a standard goal. That's one of our goals. All right. And if you can do that with everyone you have here and you recruit 100 new people, you got 100 new applications. 80% are approved, 80% take it, 64 fundings by getting 100 new recruits. And those 100 new recruits go, hey, that's awesome. So if you're not seeing those type of numbers, what do you got to do differently with your new agents to try to get one funding a month from their first 30 days? That's a good goal for you to plan, do, measure, adjust, right? All right. Any questions you got about anything? I'll see if there's any in the next Tuesday. I'll be doing the biz op. And my encouragement is be there and have a team of people there. That's game day. If you're not there, there better be a real good reason. It's like, Joe Namath not showing up on Sunday, Tom Brady not showing up on Sunday. I'm trying to think of a brand new quarterback. JJ McCarthy for Minnesota Vikings not showing up on Sunday. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate the kind message. Seeing, is that the only message we have? Is that the only chat?
I
Yeah.
have one in support.
Okay, but you're all set. You got it handled.
What her question is, what if a client came out of bad credit situation and defaulted and has better FICO and good repayments? Are they always doomed to never getting funding?
Well, I want to make sure we're understanding bad credit. You can always overcome bad credit if you've taken an advance from a funding company like ours on deck, rapid advance, etc., an advance company where they give you money and take percentage of your future sales, and you default on that, you will never get another funding. You're on the data. It does your FICO score is not even doesn't matter. You could have a 900 FICO if that even exists. You will not get approved because the only reason you default is flipping your finger at someone. Because these lenders all make it real easy to not default. If you're not paying and you can't pay, I got clients right now. The hurricane literally destroyed their business, and they haven't produced a dime of revenue or made a payment since September, and they've not defaulted yet because the lenders haven't called them a default because they're trying to get back going again. The only way you become a default is you flip your finger off at the lender and say, I'm not calling them back. I'm not, and there's no way to overcome that. It has nothing to do with FICO score. So I'm not talking about you didn't pay a car loan. I'm not talking about you defaulted on a mortgage. I'm talking about one of our advances you defaulted on, not our company, but one of the companies out there in our space. They all report to something called the data merge. The payment processors do, and the revenue-based funding companies do. Both of them do. And if you're on that, you can't get approved for payment processing or that. Doesn't matter what you do with your FICO score. You might be able to get a credit card because they don't look at data merge. You might be able to get a brand new Mercedes because they don't look at data merge. But our companies look at that because that matters more than your FICO score, frankly, because that comes down to intent to try to resolve a debt with someone who took a high risk on you. So hopefully that's clear. Was that clear, Mama?
Yep.
All right, thanks. If you don't know, Sharon's my mom. And there was a time when that was obvious. But now that I'm bald, we've had people think Sharon's my wife. So I just want to make sure y'all know when I say mama, I don't call my wife mama. She's here. She did a DAC video. You may have seen the YouTube video. Her name's Marlo. She did a couple talking about the DAC Bank Breezy. I say to her, honey, I've done 7 zillion Zooms and videos. You do two, and they have more plays than all of my Zooms combined. So I think her being pretty helps because I wrote the script, she says. So I'm taking credit for the words, but she said it in her personality. I encourage you all, guys, videos work. Videos work. Please pick up your smartphone and just leave a little video on your Facebook wall telling them what you love about our funding. Tell them about what you love about helping businesses. Tell them what you love about supporting the local businesses in the community who have great ideas to grow. Just tell them that. Tell them what you love about our business funding platform because I'm telling you it's working. I'm testing something without doing any outbound reach, just sharing the Facebook social posts. I'm recruiting about 4 people a week just sharing posts. And I've gotten 1, 2, and I've got a third call from clients locally about funding just from sharing posts. I'm just sharing posts. I'm not saying that's the solution, but I like testing before training. They work once in a while. It's like roll that dice. Every time you share a post, it's like rolling a 200-sided dice. You only get paid if it's green, but who cares? How long does it take you to share a post? Intermingle some other things in there. All right, no other questions. I appreciate you all. Let's go roll that. Let's hit a green so we have another green side. Let's keep it going. Cut that deck. Look for an ace. Next, next, next. Be kind. It may be no for now, but it's not no forever. They may not need funding today, but they'll need it eventually. So take good care of them. Ask them for referrals. Ask them who else they may know, and make sure they understand that we're a platform. We're not the funder. So we're going to find them the best offer from all the different funders out there. If they're ever going to get capital, they'd be an absolute fool to get capital anywhere except with us, any revenue-based capital that is. God bless you all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on the Monday leadership team. Let's see what you can do about between now and then. Get yourself an application. Get